begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. Who is it tonight? It is Byrd, Councilman Byrd.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. If you all could help me out today, this is the 113th anniversary of the lynching of Mr. Ed Johnson. In honor of him and everyone else in our history who have been lynched and died in horrible, horrible time, I would like for us to have a moment of silence in honor of Mr. Ed Johnson, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. All right, I have a motion on the minutes.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Thank you. We have no special presentation. So, Madam Clerk, let's jump right into ordinances. Final read, 5A, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 2100 Hamilton Place Boulevard, more particularly described herein from C4 Planned Commerce Center to C2 Convenience Commercial Zone.
Thank you, ma'am. What's the pleasure of the council? Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed is nay. All right. Thank you. B, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38, zoning ordinance, so as to rezone properties located at 207 and 209 Old Mountain Road, more particularly described herein from R1 Residential Zone to UGC Urban General Commercial Zone, subject to certain conditions.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. C, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code Part 2, Chapter 38, Sections 38.2, 38.185, 38.187, 38.321, and Article 6, Division 2, other special exceptions relative to creating a special exceptions permit for contractors' businesses in the C2 Convenience Commercial Zone.
Councilman Henderson.
Mr. Chair, this is a piece of legislation that you sponsored. If you're still good, I'll so move.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. D, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a sewer easement located in the 2700 block of North Morton Boulevard as detailed on the attached map.
Councilman Mitchell.
Move approval.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. E, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning a portion of the 500 block of the unopened Kennedy Alley and the 500 block of East 16th Street as detailed on the attached map.
Okay. I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. We have no ordinances on first read. So down to resolutions. 7A, please.
A resolution authorizing a waiver of use and damage fees for the Pearl Group for the Omega Psi Phi 5th District Conference Picnic to be held at Harris Johnson Park on Saturday, March 30, 2019 at 10 a.m. in the amount of $85.
All right, got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. B, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amended agreement for payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes dated November 15, 2015 for Gesomp Chattanooga LLC to include extending the term of in lieu payments by 3 years to reflect proposed additional capital investment of $48 million, resulting in the creation of at least an additional 150 full-time jobs.
It's a pleasure of the council. All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. C, please.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an amended and restated agreement for payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes dated November 15, 2015 for Gestamp Chattanooga LLC.
It's a pleasure of the council. Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. D, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 18 STVR 00175 for property located at 1719 Williams Street, subject to final inspection and approval by the Land Development Office.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant present? Yes. Is there any opposition present?
Move approval.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Thank you. E, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00003 for property located at 516 Moon Hollow Lane.
Is the applicant present? Yes. Is there any opposition present? All right. I've got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Thank you. F, please.
A resolution approving short-term vacation rental application number 19 STVR 00015 for property located at 616 Colville Street.
Okay, is the applicant present? Is there any opposition present? There is. Councilman, it's a pleasure. Want a presentation? All right. You have it. I see the mouse. I don't see the presentation. Colville. All the way at the end. It's the 616 Colville, the very last one. Yep.
My name is Caleb Fisher. I work for the Land Development Office handling short-term vacation rental compliance. This application is for 616 Colville Street, 19 STVR 00015. Here you can see a map of the surrounding applications and where they're at. The blue, they're at Colville between Lytle and the other lane, is the applicant's address. The purple is all non-owner occupied, approved, and permitted. The green is all owner occupied, permitted, and allowed. Just a satellite view of the surrounding area. This is the front portion of the house. Down the street, up the street, as you can see, parking areas. And additionally, there is a side parking area to prevent on-street parking. This is the timeline as far as their application being turned in, received and completed. So it took a day there. Sent out the notification for signs for letters and inspections. The sign was posted promptly. The letters mailed out promptly. And you can see there, February 4th, they failed their initial inspection and were later passed after correcting the handrail and guardrail issues. And that brings us to today, the City Council hearing.
All right. If the applicant wishes, you have 5 minutes to make your presentation. Opposition will also have the same amount of time.
My name is Hamilton Gallant, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to speak about this. I've owned the property for 14 years. I actually live on the very same street, 1 block up, and I've been there for 15 years. I'm married. We have 2 young daughters, and we love the neighborhood, and we love the street. And if I thought for 1 second that having a short-term vacation rental would be detrimental to the area, we wouldn't do it, because this is our area too. What actually got us motivated to do this was my wife and I had a discussion about her getting into the workforce. She really wanted to work part-time, which was a challenge because she's full-time taking care of our 2 young daughters, and English is her second language. But we figured out this is the perfect fit. It works really well. And additionally, when her family comes to visit, they're flying across the Atlantic, and we'll spend between 1 to 6 months. And we'd like to have this property to put them up in when they come to visit. So, thank you.
All right. Opposition, would you like to?
I live on Colville too.
Would you give us your name, ma'am?
Anna McMillan.
Thank you.
And I'm personally against Airbnbs. There's so many in our area now. And vacationers do things they wouldn't do at home. They stay up late, they're loud, and I'm just against them. And one of my neighbors said there's 100 just around Colville. And I don't know what else to say. I'm just against them.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Get your light.
Yeah, I'm just wanting to take a look at that map again. Now, you're saying the purple is already licensed?
Correct. Purple are non-owner occupied, licensed and permitted. The green are owner occupied, licensed and permitted.
So this application is the third one on Covell?
Correct.
I move approval.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, says nay. Thank you. Let's move on to G, please.
A resolution amending resolution number 28367 entitled, "A Resolution Adopting the City of Chattanooga Employee Information Guide and Allowing Changes to Any and All Information Presented to City Council for Approval Within 6 months of the resolution, effective date of September 8, 2015, 1 year from the effective date, and annually thereafter to reflect changes effective February 1, 2019.
What's the pleasure of the council? I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, says nay. Thank you. H, please.
A resolution authorizing the Chief Information Officer, CIO, to renew the city's contract with Smart Homes, DBA Smart Systems, Chattanooga for systems automation and technology installation services to the Department of Information Technology for 1 additional year, beginning May 16, 2019 through May 15, 2020, for an amount not to exceed $250,000 per contract year.
It's a pleasure of the council.
Move approval.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed is nay. Thank you. Clears up all our agenda items and takes us down to purchases. Ms. Woodard?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We have 9 purchases for your consideration tonight, all on behalf of the Public Works Department. First, we have an increase in the blanket contract for wet weather polymer due to the recent rains. It is awarded to Paula Deen, Inc., and the revised annual spend will be $220,000. Next, we have a blanket contract renewal for front-end loader and refuse pickup services, which will be awarded to Waste Services of Tennessee, LLC, an estimated annual amount of $115,000. Next, a blanket contract renewal for elevator, escalator, and lift maintenance to be awarded to United Elevator Services, LLC, an estimated annual amount of $160,000. Next, a blanket contract renewal for air vacuum valve actuator services to be awarded to H&H Brown, Inc., and an estimated annual amount of $150,000. Next, a blanket contract renewal for valve actuator services to be awarded to Industrial Valve Sales and Service, Inc., and an estimated annual amount of $200,000. Next, we have a new blanket contract for bags of ice citywide to be awarded to Tennessee Valley Ice Company, LLC, and an estimated annual amount of $71,000. Next, we have two new blanket contracts for common brick and pavers to be awarded to first Acme Brick and Tile and second Acme Block and Brick, and the total estimated spend will be $82,000. Next, we have a new blanket contract for protective footwear for the Parks Division and citywide to be awarded to Cintas Corporation in an estimated annual amount of $80,000. And finally, we have a new blanket contract for water analysis services to be awarded to Waypoint Analytical Tennessee, LLC, in an estimated annual amount of $55,000.
All right, thank you. What's the pleasure of the council?
Second.
All right, thank you. Got a motion and second for approval. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed is nay. Thank you, Ms. Woodard.
Thank you.
That takes us to other business. Is there anybody on the council with other business they wish to discuss tonight? Councilman Burt.
Thank you, Chair. Over the past 6 months to a year, it's been a lot of discussion going on about the Harriet Tubman project and whether we were going to do with the zoning. And I've been in touch with several neighborhood associations and several community members that had interest and concerns about this property. And I would like to see if I can ask Mr. Moreland and Mr. Ken, who is over a neighborhood coalition called ECI. They asked me through a phone call, they wanted to read something to me concerning the process and the project that was going on with the Tubman site. And so if that's okay, to see if they can read that to me.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Councilman, thank you for the opportunity, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to ask you at your leisure to read that. We don't want to take that kind of time. What we would like to say, I am the outgoing president of Avondale Neighborhood Association, and my cohort here, Mr. Ken Smith, is the new person coming in. What we're here to talk about is what Councilman Burt just talked about, the Harriet Tubman site. I guess over the past 2 or 3 months, we've been hearing different things coming in from an outside group that does not live in that community in Avondale. And we are really kind of confused because we are not newcomers. We've been around a long time. Most of you all know the history that we've kind of been through in Avondale over the years. And I stand here tonight and say we are proud with the accomplishments that we have been able to make over the years. We are not there, but we can kind of see some bright spots. And no one has approached us concerning anything that we have done around the Harriet Tubman site. No one have asked, what do you guys have in place? What do you know about it? From our feeling, we feel like this group just kind of come in and elected themselves to be spokesperson for our residents. We are appalled with that, and we're here tonight to say that group, no reflection, we don't have any personal issues with anybody. We are somewhat disappointed that a group would come into our neighborhood and not have enough respect to say, hey, let's talk. So we're here tonight to tell you that we have had an excellent partnership with the city ever since the city has owned that property. From the history of it, in case some of you may not know, we played a major role in asking the Chattanooga Housing Authority not to sell that property to the out-of-town realtor. We asked and almost begged the city to purchase that property so that it wouldn't come back as a housing complex. Thanks to the city that you saved us. You rescued our neighborhood. We are looking forward to having great partnership with whatever company that comes into that site. We has been at the table ever since the city purchased that property. It's not that the city is over here and the neighborhood is over there. All of the decision that has been made around that property, we were shown respect to be called in to get our thoughts and opinion about that, and we appreciate that. We're here tonight to ask you not to change that. We know what our residents want. They tell us what they want. We like that type relationship. So I turn it over to my existing president, but we appreciate all the support that you guys have given us over the years. We don't want to change that.
Thank you. May I?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Mr. Ken Smith, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Moreland, when you say we, who is the we? When you say who is ECI, who are the neighborhood associations that's connected with ECI?
ECI is a combination of 8 different neighborhoods that back some 15 years ago, our area was on the 6 o'clock news every day with negative situation. We formed that team to try to put strength in bringing our neighborhood back because we know that negative situation don't respect neighborhood lines. They're here. If things get a little tough here, they move next door. So we formed that 8 neighborhoods in that East Chattanooga area to come up under umbrella. Today, it is East Chattanooga Improvement. If you can recall when we started as Eastside Task Force. We were blessed enough to attract the federal Weed and Seed Program, which was a $1 million grant over a period of 5 years to help us in our struggle. Unfortunately, money got tight all over the United States, and we only had 2.5 years, and the federal government canceled all of those projects throughout the United States. But we had 2 years to really get a jump start on trying to do some things in our area that made a difference. Those neighborhoods meet every month, the last Tuesday of each month at the Avondale Youth and Family Development Center. And we are not here, folks, to say that we know everything, but we are here to say that if anybody has any ideas, suggestions, or thoughts, come to the table in the right way and let's talk about it. But we don't appreciate someone coming in our back door, not talking to us who have labored in these neighborhoods over the years and taken over with some things that we don't even know about because you hadn't talked to us. So that's kind of where we're at. We had 8 neighborhoods in the East Chattanooga area.
Okay, thank you, sir. And Mr. Ken, thank you also for being here. And definitely due to time restrictions, I want to definitely say that I do understand and I do agree with the ECI community of you guys being put together. That's what it's about. That's what we as a council, I know, champion for daily to make sure that we're partnering with our community members. And I just want to assure you, I think I said it when we got the information session about how the things are set up to even partner with the city council and the city in these communities, that I'm 100% with you guys. And I do definitely respect the fact that you all are here. And anything that comes to me concerning the Harriet Tubman site or anything, therefore, I would definitely relay back to you, and I would definitely acknowledge you all and understand that you all would be the ones heading or being at the table with me when this discussion happens. So I would definitely talk to you all about everything that goes on, okay?
Great,
All right?
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yep, you bet. Gentlemen, let me add one more thing to that. I don't know off the top of my head of another area in this city that has 8 distinct organizations, neighborhood associations, that are coming together on a monthly basis to meet and discuss what's best for their community. So kudos to all of you who helped organize that. I hope it keeps going. I hope the membership stays up. You convince everybody to continue to come back every month because you've got great things going on, because pulling 8 neighborhoods together is really an amazing thing. So kudos and keep up the good work out in that area. Thank you both. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't want to run too far ahead of Councilman Mitchell in his committee reports. Earlier today, we did have a Public Works Committee meeting where we talked about IJAs and our working contractual agreements with WWTA. And I had asked Mr. Holland about efficiencies that might be gained or advantages that might be realized through consolidating services. I would like to ask the city attorney to prepare a resolution to adopt an interlocal agreement with Hamilton County to conduct a benefit analysis study concerning consolidated services between Moccasin Bend Wastewater Treatment Plant and WWTA. Mr. Attorney?
Okay, sir. I'll prepare one. When do you want that on the agenda?
Well, it's up to this council, but if next week's not too early, I'll take the week after.
You have permission of the chair.
How long will it take to prepare, Phil?
The resolution will not take that long. The discussion about an interlocal agreement may take a couple of weeks.
But the resolution starts conversation
Yes, sir.
about the agreement,
Yes,
correct? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I can do that within 2 weeks max or a week, whichever you wish.
But the resolution could be on next week's agenda, is that what you're saying? Okay. I'll leave that up to the discretion of the chairman.
I'm fine with it next week unless there's opposition from anybody on this council. Councilman Mitchell?
Yes, there's opposition.
Okay. 2 weeks, Phil.
2 weeks is fine. 2 weeks.
Hang on, I gotta get over to Councilwoman Burrs. Oh, hit your light again. I'm sorry, I turned it off.
So wouldn't that go to committee first? By our own rules? I'm just talking process. Wouldn't that go to committee first? Just like the police thing is going to committee first?
So we have Public Works in 2 weeks. I think that's a perfect
No, I
time.
mean in strategic planning, or
No, it would go to a Public Works Committee meeting.
when do you see the council learning about it and discussing it relative to strategic planning?
Phil, it depends on the timing you have.
A resolution could be prepared within 2 weeks. It's up to you guys to schedule when you want it on the agenda. If you're gonna have a Public Works Committee, if you want to discuss it at that point in time, fine. If not, whenever you wish.
Well, I agree it should be in committee. The question is just simply how much advanced notice the council will have to review the resolution before it goes to committee. So I'm asking you, can you get it done in a week and give the council a week to review it before committee?
Yes.
Okay. Then we'll review it in Public Works and Transportation in 2 weeks, and we'll have a 1 week review period.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Phil. Councilman Gilbert, do you have something on this issue?
No, sir. I have something else. Just a quick question. Chip, did you ever find out from the chief? Is he available?
I was going to announce that committee report.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Coming back to you. All right. Did you mean to hit your light again, Councilman Gilbert? Thank you. We are still on other business. Is there any other business on the council? All right. Thank you. Moving on to committee reports. Councilwoman Burrs. Thank you. Councilman Byrd. Councilwoman Coonrod. Councilman Gilbert. Councilman Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a report. We will, with your permission, have a Public Safety Committee meeting next week, March the 26th, at 3 p.m., and we will discuss the proposed ordinance that Councilman Gilbert has put forth on the Police Oversight Board. And Chief Roddy will be in attendance. I have confirmed that with him.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did have a Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting today, and we will have one in 2 weeks to discuss the aforementioned resolution.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Oglesby.
No report.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies. All right, with committee reports over, we've reached the time in our agenda of recognition of persons wishing to address the council on non-agenda matters. Is there anybody here this evening that would like to discuss a non-agenda matter? Mr. Attorney, we have at least one.
Sure. At the end of each meeting, the chair will recognize members of the public that wish to address the council. These rules are applicable. Anybody that wants to speak to the council can only be recognized at the microphone up front here for that purpose. No person shall have more than 3 minutes to speak. The speaker may address the council only upon matters within the legislative and quasi-judicial authority of the council. Can't use vulgar, obscene language nor use the floor to personally attack or personally denigrate others. Please address your comments to the council as a whole, not to any particular individual. And finally, make sure that you do not recognize, the chair can't recognize any person more than twice in a 30-day time period. But ma'am, you're welcome to come on up.
My name is Tiffany Rankin, Secretary of Lincoln Park Neighborhood Association. I want to respond as far as the ECI group that is formed. My mother has been going as far since it has existed or began. It was a private meeting just held not too long ago. I'm sorry to see that some people were thrown out or asked to be removed. I like to say that Lincoln Park, you know, we had fought for Area 7. I'm not for sure who's on that as far as, is Lincoln Park on that signature as far as your neighborhood? Okay, we just wanted to make sure Lincoln Park wasn't in there since it's not Area 7. We had requested for area to be included in Area 7, and we were not permitted. So I think it's all Area 7 community leaders that are involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rankins.
Good evening, Council. My name is Helen Byrne Sharp. I'm with Accountability for Taxpayer Money. ATM is one of the 7 organizations that is involved in this new coalition that is focused almost exclusively on potential community benefits agreement for the Tubman site. We don't think of ourselves as an outside group coming in the back door by any means. I think we've been trying to be as transparent as possible. And let me mention the organizations because I think you know some of them, and I believe they have also a good relationship with the city. Chattanooga Organized for Action, the Urban League, Hope for the Inner City, the Area Labor Council, the Unity Group of Chattanooga, then the Glass House Collective. And the intent of this group was in no way to dismiss the good work that's been done over the years by the ECI and Mr. Moreland. I mean, Mr. Moreland is like a legend. I've heard lots of good things about him. In fact, we're having lunch on Thursday, which I am looking forward to. This particular group, we've been focused, as I think you all know, we had hoped that the Area 3 plan would go further before the zoning happened on the Tubman site, and we thought that it might be appropriate to be M2 or mixed use. But we lost that, we recognized that, and that was your call, and you made it. And so we're not dwelling on that. But one of the best things that came out of that whole process was this discussion of a community benefits agreement. And let me remind you that the state has preempted local governments from entering into community benefits agreements, so there needs to be a community-based organization in order to negotiate a community benefits agreement and to enter into it. So that was the focus of this group and this new group that's formed, and we didn't know there was anyone else. I had not heard, I've sort of mentioned community benefits agreements from time to time on pilots, but I've never really heard much discussion until the Tubman discussion where the council seemed very interested in this. So this was not something we thought that the ECI was working on. We didn't know that anybody was working on it. So this is sort of our focus was the CBI. I wish tonight that Eric Atkins or Quentin, what's Quentin's last name? Lawrence, with the Hope for the Inner City were here. Eric, there is, as we speak, a ceremony on the Walnut Street Bridge in memory and honor of Ed Johnson. So that's why they aren't here. I'm not a designated spokesperson by any means. The one thing that I would hope that you all would direct us to do,
Well, that 3 minutes creeps up pretty quick on you, doesn't it?
it does.
If you'd like a little bit more time, I'd be happy to give it
Thank
to
you. Thank you. I'll try to be very focused. Okay. So what we would, I think, when we had our meeting, Mr. Moreland was at the meeting and Ken Smith was at the meeting, and a lot of the people who are calling us an outside group were at the meeting. So they know what we're up to, and we're not sure. I mean, I think there's lots of common ground. I wish the council would say to both groups, get together and work this thing out. From our standpoint, this isn't a power thing. This isn't in any way trying to be disrespectful to ECI and what they've done, but we didn't know they had ever really been involved in community benefits. And I would take exception to the fact that there aren't people involved in these organizations that live in this area and who want to take the pulse. In fact, they want to knock on doors and find out even more. So I hope there's common ground. I hope that you will encourage us to work together. I think we're all after the same thing. We want things to improve in East Chattanooga. We know these folks have done some good things in the past. We'd be happy to work with them, and I hope they will be willing to work with us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else here this evening who would like to address the council? Oh, I don't know. Hold on just a moment. I didn't have my cue up. Sorry. Councilman Byrd.
Thank you so much, Chair. And Ms. Hellenberg, thank you as well. And Mr. Moreland and the Lincoln Park community, thank you as well. I think that's the whole basis of this presentation, if I'm accurate on what Mr. Ken Smith was talking to me about, is that he wants to work with everyone and wants to sit down and talk to everyone to get the best outcome for this community, because we all know in driving through that community, a lot of things don't happen in that community unless the community buys in. And so I think this is an awesome situation for the entire community to buy in, all anchoring parties. And I think and I pray that they come together and do figure out a game plan to move forward. In talking to Mr. Ken Smith and Mr. Moreland, they did assure me that anything that comes about with this project, any person that comes to purchase this project, that they just want to be definitely put in the loop. And I do really respect that fact. And they also explained to me that anyone wanting to come help, say do any door knocking or do any community outreach, they would like for them to come sit down at the table and organize together on how that would happen. So just to know that this group is put together in these neighborhood associations that are anchoring that Tubman site, and the people that live in the backyards of that Tubman site are in the loop into what's going on. I'm pretty sure and confident that this ECI group would do that, and I just want to thank you guys for championing that situation. I look forward to doing business in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Oaksley, Abdubli. All right, we are adjourned.
Ron.